Hi guys, this is your reading for the week of December 25th through the 31st. But before we get into the cards for this week, there are just a few things that I want to talk about and share with you guys. So first off, before anything else, let me say again, thank you so much for supporting me and for supporting this channel. I really do pour my heart and soul into every single video that I make, and so when I see that people are watching them and sharing them and subscribing to my channel, it really does mean so much to me. It's so rewarding to know that the effort that I'm putting in is being noticed and that it's helping people. So thank you for being part of this little community that I'm trying to build. I really appreciate that. I also, as always, really appreciate all of you who reach out to me personally through the comment section or social media or email or any way that you reach out to me. I really love that. I enjoy so much hearing your stories and being able to exchange ideas with you, and this really is starting to feel for me like my community is expanding and my horizons are expanding, and you guys are a big part of that. You really do contribute to my growth as much as I contribute to yours, and I really love having these interactions with you guys. So thank you for providing me with that opportunity. As I've been saying for the last few weeks, I am pretty backlogged in my emails and all of that. So if it takes me a while to get back to you, please be patient with me. I will get back to you. It just takes a while because I really do try to give an individual response to you guys. And I enjoy doing that. It's something that I want to do. It just takes me a little bit of time to respond to everybody, okay? So one more thank you. For those of you who donated last week, I am so appreciative of you. You have no idea how much that means to me. If you missed my videos from last week, I just now started accepting donations, and that was really hard for me to do because I'm a super independent person. But I'm kind of in a spot where I needed to ask for donations, or at least open myself up to receiving donations, because I've just been running myself into the ground trying to keep up with everything. You know, I work my day job as a massage therapist, and then I do this work for several hours a day. And I'm also studying for astrology and shamanism still. So it's just a lot for me to balance, and I was getting to a point where I was hardly getting any sleep. And I really want to be able to dedicate myself to this work and providing these services for you and being accessible to you. So I've started accepting donations so that I can get to a point where I can cut back my hours at my day job, so I can really devote myself more to this and to interacting with you, to answering your emails and doing sessions for you and recording these videos. So thank you to those of you who did donate. And I also noticed there are a lot of you who donated that have never reached out to me personally before. So it was really incredible to me to receive those donations, because I didn't even really know that you guys were like part of this community that I'm trying to build. You know, I can see some of you in the subscriber list, but if you don't reach out to me one-on-one, I'm not consciously aware of your presence. But a lot of you who donated last week are people who have never reached out to me before. So that was really touching to me. I really appreciate that. And of course, if you have interacted with me personally and you donated, I really appreciate you guys too. Overall, it's just been overwhelming in the best of ways how much support I've received from you guys. And I really received a lot of support too last week after I had kind of a mini meltdown in one of my videos, my video for the first and second wave twin flames. So many of you reached out and were very supportive of me, and I just so genuinely appreciate that. A lot of you shared your own stories with me about similar struggles that you have, and just knowing that I'm not alone in that. Like, I knew that I wasn't alone in that. We all kind of deal with the same sorts of problems, but having so many people step forward and share their stories with me really did give me that sense of community and companionship, and it meant a lot to me. So thank you for that. Okay, so now that I've done all of that and talked about how amazing you guys are, which I could do all day long, I want to go over a couple of things. So those of you who follow me on social media know that I was able to upgrade my equipment. I've been saving up for a while to do that. So thank you to all of you who donated and all of you who have been booking sessions, because you have made that possible. So the video should start getting better now. My old system was pretty MacGyvered, and I was literally like stacking books and setting like a tiny camera on top of it and had like a desk lamp shining as a spotlight. And that was not very conducive for much of anything. So I did finally save up enough that I could buy new equipment. So things should start getting better, especially sound quality. I know a lot of you had reached out to me saying that you could barely hear me in the video. So hopefully that will dramatically improve. I am really new to all of this equipment. I've never done anything like this before, and I am not a tech person. So bear with me over the next few weeks as I get all of the kinks worked out. So that was an exciting thing, and again, I want to thank you guys for making that possible and for making it possible for me to do this work that I so enjoy doing. All right, now there are a couple of friends of mine that I kind of want to introduce you to, because I think that what they have to offer is really, really beneficial. So for those of you who are twin flames, my friend Jane Clark, I haven't known her very long, but she is pretty amazing. She is the divine masculine in her twin flame dynamic, and she just recently started really channeling messages for the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and she shared some of them with me, and they're beautiful and enlightening, and I really want to be able to share those with you. She also just started her own blog, so I'm super excited for her and that. So I'm going to be putting a link to her blog in the description box below, and I am also going to be sharing the messages that she sent to me as a guest contribution on my own blog. I haven't really had much time to do any of my own blogging, so I still want to make good use of this space and have some guest contributors in. So I'm going to put the link in the description box as well, so that you can visit my blog and see the messages that she had channeled. They really are amazing. So if you are a twin flame, I think you'll get a lot out of them. All right, so the other friend of mine, she is a twin flame, but the article that she wrote, the blog post, whatever you want to call it, that she wrote is more applicable on a broader scale. So if you are a twin flame and you've been like in the twin flame groups on Facebook, you have probably seen Helen Medlow floating around. She's pretty amazing. She's a total rock star. She's so sweet and funny and loving and kind and generous, and she has really interesting perspectives on things. And she just wrote an article about how to deal with and work with people who have addictions. And I found it to be really enlightening, and I really love her approach to things. She does have a unique perspective on it, and having come from a family where there was a lot of addiction, it was really beneficial for me to read that article, and so I want to share that with you guys as well. So if you do know somebody in your life who has an addiction and you just don't know how to respond to them, I really would highly suggest reading this article. Helen, she's such a brilliant light. She really is, and I love her perspective and how she approaches it, and I think it's so beneficial. So I'm going to put a link in the description box below, also to her post on my blog page. So she's going to be another guest contributor. She does not have a blog of her own yet, although I hope that is in the works for the future. And I'm also going to be putting the contact information for both of them in the description box below as well, so you can reach out to them individually. Okay, so that's exciting too. All right, so now getting a little bit closer into the reading for this week. I recently received guidance from my team that, I do show a lot of my vulnerability in these videos. I'm not afraid to cry in front of you guys and share parts of my story that are challenging or maybe aren't so pleasant. But I don't really share a ton with you guys about like who I am. And my team really wanted me to start doing that, because one of the biggest things that's super important to me is that you guys don't see me as being above you. I am not a guru. I'm not trying to be on a pedestal or anything like that. I'm just one of you. I really am. Like, I see you guys as being my peers. So, I want to be here for you and support you and help you. And I also want to be personable. I want you to just know me. You know, I do share the insights that I get, the messages that I get, and all of that. And I do have, you know, lots of experience with several different things that I try to share. But I also want you guys to just be able to see me as a person and to recognize me as one of you. So on that note, what I'm going to be doing over the next several weeks and probably going forward in general is that every week I'm going to try to slide in a little bit more information and personal stuff about me here and there in the readings. Not too much though, because I don't want to come across as being narcissistic. I just want you guys to be able to actually get a feel for who I am. So at the beginning of every weekly reading, I'm going to give you like a fun fact about me or a short story about me so that you can get to know me a little bit better. So this week, the most common question that I get from you guys on a personal level is what's my astrology stuff. So I am an Aquarius sun, a Capricorn rising, a Leo moon, and then I also have a lot of planets in Sagittarius, which is my 12th house. And so I'm very much ruled by that Sagittarius energy too. It's kind of a tie between Sagittarius and Aquarius as far as which one influences me more. So, you know, those are kind of my stats. Some of you will know what that means, and some of you probably won't and aren't all that interested in astrology. But I wanted to answer that question because it's the most common one that I receive from people. And if you're more into like the Chinese astrology and lunar astrology, I am literally on the cusp between the rabbit and the dragon. My sister calls me a bunny dragon all the time. So, and that kind of goes hand in hand with Aquarians, kind of contradictory. You know, rabbits and dragons aren't a whole lot alike, but then Aquarians are fixed signs who are represented by water, but they're actually an air sign. So lots of contradictions there too. So if you guys have any like questions you personally want to know about me, feel free to put it in the comment section and I will kind of keep a list and I will answer one of your questions every week. And if you guys don't ask questions, then I will just share a story or, you know, some little tidbit about myself so that you guys can get to know me better. And then also my team kind of wants to get to know you better too. So I'm going to be kind of introducing you to different members of my team because I don't really, when I do these readings and I channel the messages, I kind of keep it general in the sense that I don't tell you exactly who it came from because I don't really think that that's the point. And I'm really not going to, in the readings, I'm probably still not going to differentiate a lot about who's telling me what in terms of the channeled messages, but in a general sense, my team does want to introduce themselves to you through me, in a sense. So every week I'm going to introduce you to a new member of my team or a couple new members of my team until I run out of team members, which could take a while because my team is expansive. And I work with my ancestors, I work with my power animals, I work with ascended masters and angels and deities. I'm kind of like a spiritual networker. So my team is pretty expansive and it's always growing and shifting and changing. So it'll probably take a while for you guys to meet all of them. But I'm going to start pretty close to home with a couple of my ancestors. One of them is pretty recent, but anyway, so the first one that I want to introduce you to, and I have pictures, it's super exciting. The first one I want to introduce you to, this is my mom. She passed away last year, but she has been so influential for me in terms of my spiritual growth. Well, she was alive as well as since she's passed away, but since she's passed away, a lot of the baggage and stuff that she had when she was, you know, in a body, a lot of that has fallen away and her true soul essence has really come through. And she is a powerhouse energy, and she does really channel a lot of things to me about the feminine collective and the feminine energies. And as you can tell, she was a nurse. She insisted that I show this picture. There was one that I wanted to show more, but she really wanted me to show this one because she does view herself so much as being a healer. So that's one picture, but I'm still going to show the one that I really like because it's more, I don't know, personal, and I love this picture so much. So there we go. So that's my mama, and she is with me all the time, and a lot of the messages that come out during these readings, a lot of them either come from her or she gives clarifiers or stuff like that. And a lot of you who have had readings with me, if you feel like a huge wave of love that comes over you, a lot of times that's my mom. She really does, sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. She really does just love to love. She is a very generous soul, and she is so sensitive and compassionate and caring. So if you have interactions with me and you feel like this huge wave of love, I mean, I love you guys too, but if you feel it really strongly, a lot of times that's my mom stepping over closer to you and actually interacting with you. And then the other one that I want to introduce you to, this is my great-grandfather on my mom's side. And he is a very gentle man, very soft-spoken, but very firm. He is, to me, kind of like the quintessential divine masculine. He really is. He's very much kind and compassionate and loving and caring, but he's, you know, he also speaks a lot of sense. He can be very logical sometimes, and he's very firm in his approach, but he really is a wonderful blend of the masculine and feminine energies, I feel. And I get the impression that he was like that when he was alive too. My mom always shared stories with me about her interactions with him. He was like a really influential person in her growth and development in her life. And I've never heard a single bad thing about him. From what I understand, he was just really kind and loving and compassionate and just very supportive, and people felt safe around him. And, you know, those are the stories that I've heard about him, and I can testify to that through his energy and the conversations that I have with him. And a lot of the messages that I channel for the masculine energies, he's very much involved in that. He's a wonderful mouthpiece for the divine through me, to share those messages for the divine masculine and what the masculine collective is really going through. So those are the two members of my team that I'm introducing to you guys this week, and I was excited to do that, and they're excited to get to know you guys better, in a sense. So like I said, in the general readings, I probably still won't differentiate a whole lot in terms of who's actually talking when, and you know, which message came from who, but my team really does, they want to know you guys too. They want you to know who they are. Because, you know, I don't really think of the divine as, a lot of people worship the divine. I don't really do that. It's never really resonated with me. I really see the divine as being friends and mentors. You know, they're a lot like us. I mean, from my exchanges with them anyway, you know, and everybody's reality is different, and their interactions with the divine are different. But all of my exchanges with the divine, they've always come across as being very personable. They're a lot like us. They're more adept at working with the universal energies. They flow with things better. Like they're just more advanced in their skill sets, and they have a lot to teach us, and they really do care about us. So for me, the divine is very personable. They're very attainable. They're very close by. And I love my interactions with them. Like, to me, they're family. And you guys are family too. So I'm really just trying to, like, introduce you guys. And, you know, my team they really do want to help, and they really do love you, and they want to be accessible to you as well, and they want for you to be able to know who they are. So both my team and I are going to be sharing a lot more of ourselves with you in the near future. So that should take care of all of the business that I had. So now we can get into the cards for this week. All right. So the biggest theme for this week, usually I pull the theme, well, usually I've only had the Tao Oracle for a couple of weeks, but I usually think of that now as being like the theme cards. But this week we got it from the Spirit Animals deck. And the card that we got for this week is Ram. And what's really interesting to me about this is that rams are, more historically speaking, rams have been used as, you know, kind of sacrifices. And we're kind of in a period of time, looking at the cards that we got for this week, where we're making some sacrifices, but don't think of that in terms of something negative. What we're sacrificing really is the way that we've been perceiving ourselves. That's the biggest theme this week, is that we're really sacrificing who we've been so that we can see who we are and who we're meant to be and who we really are at a soul essence. And so I actually think that Ram is perfect for this, and perfect for more than one reason, because Rams are also associated with the sign of Aries. And Aries is when you look at the different calendars, when, you know, we have the Gregorian calendar, which I don't really adhere to because it's kind of contrived and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know, the lunar calendar makes a little bit more sense. But the astrological calendar, when you're looking at it and you're thinking of things in terms of the equinoxes and the solstices, the real beginning of the year happens with the sign of Aries, which is represented by the ram. And I think that this is really important because all the messages that I've been receiving from the divine lately are that we're really planting the seeds now for the start of the new year. Now, you know, there are a lot of readers who have been talking about the end of the year and how important it's going to be and all of that. But most have been thinking about it in terms of the Gregorian calendar. And for a while I was too. But the further I get into my astrology training, and granted I'm not super far into it, but the further I have gotten into it, the more I'm realizing that the Gregorian calendar really doesn't account for much. It's in fact, in a lot of ways, I think it kind of throws things off in terms of our perception and timing and all of that. So I really started adhering more to the calendar that the ancients used, you know, that was determined more by the solstices and the equinoxes. So the impression that I've been getting, the messages I've been receiving from the divine are that, yeah, this is a really pivotal time for us. We are making a lot of changes and stuff like that, but this is not our fruition time. This is the period of time where we're really planting the seeds of like who we're trying to be and where we're trying to get to. So most of this year we spent clearing things away. You know, clearing out the old debris and stuff like that, you know, tilling the soil and getting it prepared for us to plant seeds. And this is a period of time, and we've been kind of in this for a couple of weeks, but it's really amplified now that we've gone through all of these portals and all of these astrological transits that have been significant. That has really amplified, and we're really hard at work planting the seeds of who we are trying to be and where we're trying to get to. And so, you know, I think there's been kind of an expectation that things would just like happen like right now, you know, in December, because everybody's thinking of that as in terms of being like the end of the year and everything was supposed to be big. And I was kind of caught in that too. But the more that I've been looking at it and the more messages I've been receiving from the divine and all the synchronicities and how everything is tying together for me, the more that I'm seeing that this period of time, while it's very pivotal because we're deciding what seeds to plant. Okay, so this is still a really important time. But don't necessarily expect everything to abruptly change right now. It may for you, for some people it might, but I think that a lot of us have been kind of frustrated because it's like things are supposed to change. Like I know I've been kind of, I used to hate getting the Tower card from the tarot system, but now for the last couple of weeks, I've been like obsessed with that card. Like I'm like, bring it. Like I want the change. I want this radical shift. And we have been going through a radical shift internally, you know, in our higher consciousness and starting to integrate that into our conscious, you know, perception and reality in our day-to-day lives. But that needs time to manifest in the physical world. Again, for some people, things may manifest for you very abruptly. It may happen all of a sudden, you know, like a lightning strike. But for a lot of us, what's happening is we're going through all of these shifts internally, but it's not manifesting yet in physical reality. And that's okay, because this really isn't the end of the year, because the beginning of the year is going to actually be in March. I believe a friend of mine said that the spring equinox is supposed to be March 20th. So that would really be more, by my calculations and my perceptions anyway, that would really be more the beginning of the year. So we're making sacrifices right now with Ram to prepare us for the beginning of the new year. But the beginning of the new year is maybe not exactly what we were thinking it was. A lot of us were thinking, you know, the end of the year is December, but that's by the Gregorian calendar, and I'm not sure how I'm not convinced that that's super reliable. I think that the astrological calendar is much more accurate, and I think that there's a reason why the ancients used it. So, you know, what we're sacrificing right now is our perceptions of who we are, who we've been, what life is, what reality is. That's what we're really sacrificing now. But this is a very positive sacrifice because it's a sacrifice that's leading us further into our own development. And it's going to allow us to start off the new year with real physical, tangible changes. Right now, most of those changes are happening within us. We've been, you know, for a lot of this year, clearing things away and kind of going through that tower energy within, but that's really accelerated and been amplified by all of these portals and astrological transits. And now it's time for us to really start planting the seeds in our physical reality. Okay. All right, so that aside, getting a little further into what that actually means, like these sacrifices and all of that. So the Isis gives us the power over 7 scorpions. And what this card is about, it's about looking at your shadows and all of, you know, the facets of yourself, looking at the way that you perceive yourself in general, and realizing that maybe you're not what you thought you were, and overcoming the fear that's associated with that. Because as much as we need change, we really, really do. If we want to thrive, we need change. But that's scary. Change is scary. It really is, because there's a lot of uncertainty associated with change. And I've been talking about that for a while, but it's very true. That never stops being true. Change can be kind of frightening because it does mean that our worlds are kind of turned upside down. And with the power over 7 scorpions, this is really talking about this internal tower energy that we've been in, where we're having to relinquish the way that we've been seeing ourselves and others, and let go of the way that we perceive reality and how things are and how they should be. And that really, I think, ties in also with Saturn having just moved into Capricorn, because both Saturn and Capricorn is its home sign, both are associated with structures and systems and all of that. And so we're really being asked to implement new systems and structures within our lives. And, you know, when Saturn made that shift point on the galactic center, I mean, that was a big thing, because, you know, this is us choosing our soul path and moving forward and really remembering who we are at that soul essence and why we're here. So now we're being asked to implement these new systems and structures. So this is a really perfect time for us to do that. And we're just starting to plant the seeds of that. And we're going to start seeing real growth and start seeing, you know, being able to reap some of that abundance and everything once we actually get to the new year, which would be in March when we have the spring equinox. So these sacrifices are important for us to make, but they're more about internal sacrifices, us sacrificing our perceptions of the way things are and the way that they've always been, so that we can make room for the new to come in, because it's really time for this huge change for us. It's time for us to really move forward as a collective. And, you know, that this sacrifice is a necessary thing for us to do, but it's very positive for us as well, okay? As we're going through this process, Isis also gives us the High Priestess card. And the High Priestess card is about mysteries that are being revealed to you. And these a lot of times are internal mysteries. So as you're making these sacrifices, you know, of all of these things that you've believed to be true about yourself or about your life or about reality or other people, there's going to be a lot of clarity that you're going to receive as well. And that's going to help you figure out, like, exactly, you know, where you're trying to go. Because one of the things that's been kind of confusing for people and frustrating is it's like, okay, like, I know that a change is coming. I've been clearing space to make room for a change, but I don't know what that change is yet. Like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be going or what I'm supposed to be doing. And these months leading up to the spring equinox are preparing us for the work that we're going to be doing, for that forward movement in our lives, for the abundance and prosperity that's going to be coming in. This is a period of time in these next few months where we're really going to be getting clarity and establishing those things so that we have a solid vision. Because if we don't have a solid vision, it's kind of hard to really manifest things into the physical reality, you know. It can still be done, but it's a little bit harder if you don't have some sort of solid vision. And I'm not talking about something rigid, like I want this job and I need to be living in this place and all of that. But you want to have some basic idea of what your purpose is. Like, what's the meaning of your life? Like, what do you want to achieve in this lifetime? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to have with you? What sort of person are you? What sort of person are you trying to be? So this period of time, while we're having this internal tower energy, this is also showing us a lot of truths. We're going to have, as a whole, people are going to be experiencing a lot of these epiphanal moments where it's one of the things that I do like about the tower energy is it is very abrupt. And so sometimes, a lot of times, especially over the last few years, it seems like every revelation that we've had, for the most part, we've like really had to work for it. And it's been convoluted, the process of getting to it. You have to do this and this and this, and then you get that clarity. But because we did all of that groundwork, now when we get these moments of clarity, it's going to be like, bam, like right there. Like the simplest thing will trigger this realization in you, and you'll have a much more solid idea of where you're going and what the meaning of current events in your life are and all of that stuff. So this is going to be a really amazing time for us over these next few months. Well, it may be a little bit frustrating because we're ready to move forward. We need to have some sort of solid vision about where we're going. And in order to do that, we have to let go of our perceptions of who we are and who we've been and what reality is and all of that, so that we can get this clarity and understand where we're going when we do really get that forward movement. And then she gives us the key of life. And, you know, this card is about our creativity and our ability to manifest. And this period of time that we're going through, we're making these internal sacrifices about our perceptions of everything and getting this clarity. This is providing us with that key of life, so that when we do step forward in our lives, we already have the keys to go through any door that we need to. You know, we're going to have so many opportunities and so many possibilities and so many different pathways that are laid out in front of us. And if we don't develop this solid idea, this solid vision, we might get confused about which path we actually want to take. And there is no wrong path, okay? The destination is always going to be the same, because it's your soul blueprint that you created hand in hand with the divine for what you were trying to accomplish and what you were trying to learn and all of that, okay? So there's no wrong path, because they're all going to lead to the same destination. All of these possibilities and opportunities are going to be provided to us over the coming months by the divine, and that's really going to ramp up after the beginning of the new year, where we get where things start manifesting more in physical reality, because we'll have done the groundwork. But right now we need to develop a solid vision, so that when we get to that point and the divine provides us all of this abundance, and they're like, okay, choose a path, we'll know which path we want to take to get to our destination. There is no wrong path, but there are some paths that are going to be more fulfilling for us and uplifting for us along the way, okay? All right, so now getting into the Tao Oracle. The first card that we got is the Taming Power of the Great. And this really is about letting go of our perceptions of who we are, because it's time for us to really radically shift the way that we've been perceiving ourselves and the way we've been perceiving reality, so that we can make these big changes happen and we can get this forward momentum. So it's time for us to really, you know, we've been doing deep diving and all of that, but it's time for us to do deep diving on a different level. Whereas before we were doing deep diving a lot in terms of trying to heal things and let go of things, and, you know, trying to figure out like what is going to go forward with us and what we needed to leave behind and what we needed to heal and all of that. But now the deep diving that we're doing is really about figuring out who we are at that soul essence, and what we want to do going forward, who we want to be with, all of those things. But in order to do that deep diving, we have to let go of our perceptions of what reality is, okay? Reality is completely subjective. You know, the quantum theory talks about that, about how reality is completely subjective based on how you perceive it to be. And that ties in with the law of attractions too. You know, what you perceive is what you mirror out into your environment. So we need to let go of these limitations that we've placed on ourselves and realize that we are much more powerful manifestors and creators than we've ever given ourselves credit for. We need to let go of any self-limiting or self-sabotaging beliefs, and we really need to move forward even further in our self-mastery. You know, our self-mastery before was really focused on what we were leaving behind, but now our self-mastery is focused on what we're doing going forward. So, you know, this is a really pivotal time, a really important time for us to overcome these self-limiting belief systems, because that's the thing that's holding us back now, is this feeling of being limited, but we're the ones who are limiting ourselves, all right? And then we get the Gentle, and this is much like what it sounds like. This card is all about taking a gentle approach, taking the path of least resistance, not fighting the changes that are happening, because, you know, there is this natural tendency within us when we get that Tower energy and everything starts really changing abruptly, and that's what's going on with us internally. There is this capacity for us, this propensity for us to like rear back and freak out and want to fight these changes and all of that, because it's scary for you to completely shift your perspectives. It's scary enough when change is forced upon you by external circumstances, but it's in a lot of ways even more scary when all of these changes are happening within you and your entire perception of reality and who you are and the people around you, and all of that changes so dramatically over a short period of time. That is frightening, and our natural tendency is going to be to fight that or try to avoid it completely. But what's going to be so important right now is for us to flow with these changes and take that path of least resistance and not fight the universe, not fight our higher selves, and not fight our divine guidance team, because where we're being led is exactly where we need to be. It's where we want to be. We may not recognize that while we're going through the challenges, but this is where we want to be. This is where we decided we wanted to be. And the universe is working with us to bring us this abundance, to get us on the right path and do all of those things. But we have to let go of our self-limiting belief systems first and let go of our perceptions of reality, because things are about to change. They already are changing dramatically, all right? So flow with it. And we have Keturah working with us, and he is associated with the crown chakra and with spirituality. So we need to really make sure that we're taking a higher perspective with these changes that are going on. That's going to be so important for us to take that higher perspective. And what I mean by higher perspective is having to do with these shifts in our perceptions of reality, and not just our shifts in terms of our perceptions of reality, but in how we go about viewing things, like our process for reviewing situations and looking at things and perceiving things. So think of it in terms of, because one of the descriptions with the card is talking about how it's not about your perception of the object itself. It's about the light that's shining on the object. And this is how we get that higher perspective. So instead of focusing so much on the reality that is changing for you, focus on that higher self aspect. Be in contact even more so with your divine guidance team and with your higher self, because they're going to be showing you the importance of the light that's shining on the reality that is changing. Okay, that's what we mean by a higher perspective. We really need to be focusing on our processes for how we perceive things and rewiring our neural pathways, because that's how we're going to change our reality. And it is entirely possible and very feasible and very realistic to change our neural pathways. And you do that very easily, much more easily than you might think. It's day-to-day decisions. When I decided that I was going to start rewiring my neural pathways, because I was in a very negative headspace, had been for most of my life, dealing with the bipolar disorder and, you know, all the depression and anxiety that comes with it, and then all of the trauma that I've had in my life. Like, I was in a really negative space, and I got sick of myself. I got tired of feeling like that all the time. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And so I started making a conscious decision to not just find one thing every day that I was grateful for, but like try to see the light side of everything, to notice the things in my life that were very positive and put so much of my focus on that positivity in the smallest of ways, shifting my perspective on everything instead of seeing things as challenges, seeing them as blessings. And I am not perfect at this. It is an ongoing process. I am still human. I still get frustrated and sad about things and all of that. But I have rewired my neural pathways in a lot of ways, because instead of focusing on all of the things that aren't going right in my life, now I focus on all of the things that are going right in my life. That's how you rewire your neural pathways. You shift your focus. This is, again, about our processes for, perceiving reality. That's how we're really going to make these changes. That's how these changes are going to be lasting and they're going to be meaningful for us, and how we're really going to get that forward movement. That's what's going to be required for us to overcome these self-limiting beliefs. You have to shift your perspectives, and you do that in the smallest of ways in your daily routines, and over time you develop that skill. Like anything else, it requires practice. But the more you practice this, the more you'll actually be able to shift your perceptions, and you change your process for arriving at conclusions or for perceiving reality. You really change your process of how you get there. And this is going to be a really important thing for us to be doing and working on solidly over the next few months. So if you have any self-limiting beliefs at all, or if you don't like the reality that you're in, start shifting your perspective. Start shifting the way you perceive things. Make a conscious choice. It has to be a conscious choice. And it does take practice and it takes self-discipline, but it is so important for us to do that, because that's how we're going to get this forward movement in our lives. Okay. So that is actually a really beautiful energy, and I'm super excited about it. At first I was kind of, when I came to this realization that the end of the year wasn't December, I was kind of like, gosh, dang it. Like, I just wanted things to change. Like, I've been so ready for change. And it seems on the outside like I've been going through a lot of changes this year already. And I have, but I'm wanting like a radical shakeup of my life. And I know, be careful what you wish for, right? But I'm ready for real forward movement. I feel like I've been walking in place my whole life. Like, it's always, one step forward, 2 steps back. And I am so ready to actually move forward. I want to bring positive changes to every aspect of my life, and I'm ready for it now. So when I realized, when I started really looking at the astrology and all of that, when I realized that the beginning of the year was actually going to be in March, that was kind of disheartening for me. But the more that I look at everything in my own life and where I'm at, the more I'm like, no, this is right where I need to be. Like, this is actually a very important time for me to really set my goals and to decide what my vision is, so that when I start moving forward, I actually have a direction that I'm going in. Like, I actually have an idea of where I want to go and what I want to be doing and all of that, and what I want to have in my life, who I want to have in my life. I want to be able to be at that spot. So when that new year comes in March, I'm ready. Like, I'm legit ready. And it's not going to be like things happening to me. It's going to be me enacting changes, me manifesting things through my creative powers. Because ultimately, if it happened right now, it'd be a lot of things happening to me, which is what I'm used to. That's what humanity as a rule, I think, is used to in these current times, is things happening to us. But one of the parts of this paradigm shift we're going through is to not have things happen to you, but for you to actually manifest things, for you to use your creative powers to decide what's going to happen around you, how you're going to impact reality. This is one of those shifts in perspective, is to stop thinking of things as happening to you and start thinking of things as you happening to your reality. You coming in and deciding what the path is going to look like and what reality actually is and who you are and all of that amazing stuff, right? So beautiful, beautiful energy for us to be in. I'm super excited for this, and I hope that you guys are too, because this is the time where we really do start to implement everything that we've been learning, and we start tying it all together, and we start figuring out what our direction is, and that's amazing. Okay, so that covers all of the mutual energy, but how is that going to play out for the masculine energies and the feminine energies? And we're going to start with the masculine. So the first card that we have for the masculine is the Ten of Swords. This is not a comfortable energy to be in. It is this sense of betrayal and like you're dying this horrible, painful death. It is not pleasant to be going through. But this is a completion. Tens are a completion. So this is like the final boss in a video game. All right. And this is about your shadow side. It's about your self-limiting ideas and behaviors, about your self-sabotaging ideas and behaviors. This is what's dying to make way for something better, to make way for the new. So even though this is a very uncomfortable energy to be in, And it could manifest in any number of ways. Maybe you feel literally betrayed by people around you. Maybe you just feel like who you've always been is dying, and that scares you because you don't know what that means going forward. Maybe you feel very vulnerable and exposed. But this is a positive spot for you to be in. It doesn't feel that way, but it is a positive spot for you to be in, because this is that shift point for you where you start rising again. Okay, because this is the opportunity for you to really let go of the self-limitations, because that's what's blocking you. It may seem like it's coming from the outside, but ultimately what's blocking you are self-limiting beliefs. It's time for you to take a leap of faith. It's time for you to really fully step into your power and own it, and to be courageous in moving forward in your life. And so this is, you know, it's really about letting go of this feeling of being betrayed, a feeling like you're dying, a feeling like everything is awful and horrible, and it's this, you know, terrible ending that isn't fair. Because really this is just the completion of a cycle, and this completion point is the turning point for you where things start getting better if you let go of the self-limiting beliefs, because that's the biggest thing holding you back, okay? And what we get next is the Ace of Pentacles. So if you let go of these self-limiting beliefs, this is the energy that you move into. You move into the Ace of Pentacles. It is a brand new, fresh cycle of awesomeness being manifested into your physical reality. The Pentacles are usually associated with career and finance, but I think of the Pentacles as being very much associated with, you know, anchoring things into tangible physical reality. So it could be that you get this major shift point that brings you a lot of positivity in terms of financial abundance, or, you know, promotions, or opening a business, or selling your business, or something like that. But this is bigger than that. This is more than just about your career and your finance. This is about you being able to start a fresh, brand new cycle in your life in general, being able to manifest into physical reality what it is that you're wanting for yourself. You have to let go of those self-limiting beliefs. You know, the Swords energy is very much about our thoughts, our perceptions, okay? And that's what this is really about, is changing our thoughts and our perceptions, changing the way that the process that we go through to decide what reality is. We're at this completion point, guys. This is the time for you to really let go of those self-limitations, so that when you start a new cycle, that new cycle allows you to manifest what you're wanting into your physical reality. All right, that's what you're working toward, and you're almost there. Don't give up. This Ten of Swords energy, this is the final boss. This is your final battle, and you're going to come out on top, okay? Stop limiting yourself. Stop being afraid that you won't be enough, or that you won't be able to defeat this boss, because you totally can. All right. And then we get the Temperance card. This is going to be manifesting in a couple of different ways for you. So the Temperance card is very much about balance. Okay. So it's establishing a balanced frame of mind. I also think of the Temperance card as being a creativity card as well. And you're really changing your balance point. You know, you're changing. Having a hard time thinking of the words here. I feel like my team is trying to give me dude analogies, and I'm not a dude, so it's not really making sense because I don't have the vernacular for this. The Temperance card is about bringing balance into your life, being balanced in your approach to everything, because I feel like the energy for everybody, but the masculine especially this year, everything has been really out of whack and out of balance in terms of how you're seeing yourself and everything around you. And also things are just out of balance, like literally in your physical life. And so this is an opportunity for you to bring balance back in. And because we are planting the seeds for forward movement, you know, there is a strong water energy here. So you're not only planting the seeds, but it's time for you to water them as well. Don't just pass it from cup to cup. This is a time for you to really water those seeds and make sure that you're grounding things into physical reality. Make sure that you're getting this balance. So that's the first interpretation for that card for you guys. The other aspect of it is that the divine is going to be very actively assisting you with this process, especially very gentle and nurturing divine beings. They're going to be with you and helping you to balance things out, because it's like a really aggravated an inflamed nerve. You're so nervy that right now, like, you can't settle down and it hurts so much and there's nothing that you can do about it. But what the divine, or you feel like there's nothing you can do about it, but there is. What's going to be going on with you is the divine is going to be coming in and helping you to take down the inflammation around that nerve and in that nerve so that the pain settles and so you can actually think again. If any of you have ever had significant nerve pain, like a tooth or thrown at your back or something like that, like, or sciatica, you know how awful that pain is and how it's so distracting. It's hard to focus on anything else. That's the energy that you've been in. That's why it feels like this Ten of Swords energy, where it's just so overwhelming because you can't focus on anything else. You've got an inflamed spiritual nerve, basically. And so the divine is going to be helping you to calm everything, to calm the muscles around that nerve, to calm the nerve itself so that the pain settles and so that you can get some clarity again. That's what's going to help you shift into that Ace of Pentacles energy, is getting this balance and bringing yourself back to a center point. And the divine is going to help you to do that and help you to calm yourself so that you can make that shift in your perspective. The next card that we get for you guys is the Lovers. So again, this card is going to have more than one meaning. So for you, this is partially about balancing the masculine and feminine energies within you, which was a theme that we had last week. That was a big theme last week for the masculine, was balancing out the masculine and feminine energies within you, opening yourself up to femininity in an entirely different way, changing your perspectives of what it is to be a strong feminine figure. So you're continuing that this week in terms of balancing out your internal masculine and feminine energies, which is also going to help calm that inflamed nerve. The other aspect of this is that your dynamics with other people are going to be really highlighted this week, because your interactions with others is what's going to help you start making these shifts in your perspective and the way you're perceiving things, so that you can cut the self-limiting ideas and thoughts and behaviors and all of that. This may be very positive well, it's going to be positive anyway. It may feel good in the sense that you might have a conversation or an interaction with somebody that makes you feel very good about yourself and helps you, or gives you this huge revelation that helps you to realize how you've been sabotaging yourself or something like that. Or this could feel not quite so pleasant in terms of maybe you have a conflict with somebody and they really bring to the forefront a shadow aspect of yourself that you really don't like. But again, that triggers this realization of what it is that's holding you back, this self-limiting belief that you have. But one way or the other, this is about you bringing everything back into balance and into harmony. All right. The next card that we have for you is the Ace of Wands. So the divine is asking you to start really pouring your heart and soul into this endeavor. It's not ready to be manifested into physical reality yet, okay? It's going to, because we did have the Ace of Pentacles. That's what you're heading towards. But this is where you're at right now. The divine is really asking you to be passionate about this process, to really put your heart and soul into it, to dedicate yourself to it, to be really enthusiastic about this process, and not think of it as something that is negative or overwhelming, because it doesn't have to be. What's overwhelming is when you fight the changes, okay? That's when you feel defeated, is when you're trying to fight the changes. That's when you exhaust yourself. Take the path of least resistance here and flow with the changes. Allow the clarity to come to you. Allow the divine to step in and help you. Allow yourself to balance your masculine and feminine energies and to see these shadow aspects of yourself that need to be worked on. Don't do a bunch of side missions to not have to fight the final boss, okay? You are totally prepared to do this. So just take start taking those steps. It's internal right now. You are overcoming your self-limiting beliefs. Burn those away. The wands are a very fiery energy and very passionate. Burn away anything that's self-limiting. You don't need it anymore. You never really needed it other than to learn lessons from it, I guess. But you're past that point. You've evolved past that point in your spiritual growth and in your growth overall. You don't need to be limiting yourself. It's time for you to really step fully into your power and realize how powerful you actually are, and that you have all these skills and abilities that you haven't really tested out yet to their full capacity. You don't really know what you're capable of yet. And what the divine wants you to understand is that you're capable of so much more than you realize. They are warning you with the Nine of Wands energy not to give up. Okay, and I know I was just talking about that, but this is really amplifying that. Because Nine of Wands is about, you get so close to the end, but you just get so exhausted too that you're like, oh God, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, maybe I'll just give up. Maybe I'll just do something else. I don't need to really do this, right? Like I can just stop because I don't want to do this anymore. I'm really tired. No, you are so close to the end here. Again, you're facing the final boss. So do that. You have everything you need within you to do that. You, despite what you may think, are not as exhausted as you believe you are. Okay? You can do this. You have everything you need to do this. So just do it. Clear these self-limiting beliefs. The final boss is you. You're fighting yourself. All right, which means you know all of your strengths and all of your weaknesses. So utilize that knowledge. This is, think of it in terms of this interaction with yourself, this final boss. Think of it in terms of, like Sun Tzu and the art of war. Know your enemy as much as you know yourself. Well, you already do, because what you're fighting is an aspect of yourself. All right, you already know. So do this calmly. Know that you've got this. You've got the strategy. Like, you know how to do this because you know yourself already. You know what your vulnerabilities are, and you know what your strengths are. So make use of that knowledge that you have. Okay, enough of the video game analogies. It's like the only dude talk I kind of know because I do play video games, although not as much as I would like to. All right, so what we have for you in terms of divine assistance is we've got Kuan Yin with you again with the Amaryllis Lute. You guys, come on. How many times have the masculine energies gotten the Amaryllis Lute? It's been a ridiculous number of times. I'm teasing you. I'm just having fun. Because the Amaryllis Lute is about letting go of things that are no longer serving you, things that were so important to you, maybe are still so important to you. This has really been a year when the masculine energies have had to let go of a lot of things that were important to them, and they didn't feel ready and they didn't want to, but it's been for your growth and for your development so that you could get to a spot where you could start moving forward. But now what you're letting go of is your idea of who you are and what your reality is. That's what you're letting go of now. And you need to let go of it because the reality that you're walking into, that you're meant to walk into, that your path is leading you toward, is so much better than the one you're in right now. Don't fight this process. Don't worry that you're not going to be good enough or you're not going to be strong enough. Don't worry that you're not going to be stable or secure in this new reality. Let go of those fears, okay? Those are limitations. You do not need them. Trust yourself, trust in your soul path, and trust the divine to help you get to exactly where you're wanting to go, where you need to go. Let it happen. Stop fighting it. Stop trying to desperately hold on to what's not serving you anymore. And what's not serving you anymore is your perception of who you are. Yes, it's your perception of your reality and all of that too, but it's primarily about who you think you are. Because who you think you are is not nearly as powerful as who you actually are. You're underestimating yourself, and it's time for you to stop. Stop underestimating yourselves, all right? All right, we also get Swan with you. So this is associated too with that balancing of your masculine and feminine energies, because most people think of swans as being a more feminine animal. But beyond that, this is about moving into the unknown with dignity and with grace, and just allowing things to happen, flowing with it, and taking the path of least resistance. It's really what you need to do. I know that point keeps getting emphasized, but it wouldn't keep getting emphasized if it wasn't really important. So as far as who you have helping you, the Goddesses and Sirens deck gives us Hathor. Hathor is about contentment, but Hathor is also about this birth process, and she's a very nurturing energy. She's very loving, she's very joyous, she's very motherly. And this is, continuing on with the theme that we had last week, where the masculine have been working to heal some mother wounds and heal their ideas of what it is to be feminine, and start shifting your perspective away from that old paradigm. And Hathor is here to help assist you with that. But part of why you're going through this process is because you are being reborn, all right? When you let go of these self-limiting beliefs, when you start balancing out your masculine and feminine energies, when you start really planting these seeds and watering them for deciding where you're going to be, where are you going? Where are you going? What do you want to do? Like, who do you want to be with? What sort of person do you want to be? What sort of code of ethics and conduct do you want to live by? This is a really amazing time for you to make these big decisions and to reconnect to who you actually are at that soul level. You are being reborn right now, and Hathor is helping you with that. She's helping you to let go of any of the self-limiting beliefs that you have, let go of any of the baggage that you have that's holding you back, so that you can really, in a sense, return to your innocence. Not return to your innocence in, like being naive, because that's not what's happening. Okay, you're taking all of the lessons and the knowledge that you've acquired, and you're starting to implement it, but you're returning to your innocence in the sense that I didn't mean to do that. I like word humor. Anyway, so you're returning to your innocence in a way that means that you are letting go of the mistrust, letting go of your fears that you won't be provided for, letting go of this idea that you're not going to be enough or anything like that. You're returning back to this state of confidence and of certainty that everything is going to be okay, that you're going to be provided for, that everything is going to be all right. And Hathor is here helping you with that. She's a very loving and joyous maternal energy that is here to help you with this rebirth process and to help you return to your innocence and to nurture you as you're going through that. And then the Gods and Titans deck gives us Lu. And Lu, one thing I don't like about this new lighting system is it really makes things shiny on the cards. Anyway, so Lu is a Celtic god, and he really represents kind of like being multifaceted. And this is one of the ways in which I mean that you're limiting yourself, you're underestimating yourself, because there's so much pressure for men, everybody, but especially I feel like the masculine energies, there's so much pressure for you to be competitive, and you have to be at the top of your game, and you have to be the smartest one in the room, the strongest one in the room, and all those pissing contests, right? And there's so much pressure in our society for that. But what Lu teaches you is to not think of it in terms of being competitive, that you have to be the best at this thing or whatever. What you've been going through in this lifetime, and especially over this year, is you've been developing multiple skills. And so you're not just one-dimensional, you are multifaceted, but you're not realizing that right now. And that's one of the things that you're going to be overcoming as you release these self-limitations, is that you're going to be recognizing how many positive attributes you have, how many things you're good at, how much knowledge you actually have about a variety of different things. And you're going to be realizing, and Lu's going to be helping you to realize, that that is more important than being the best. Because you can be the best at one thing, but if that's all you do, well, that's pretty limited, right? Like it's not going to get you super far if you're only really good at one thing. But if you're good at a lot of different things, then you're going to be much more productive. You're going to be able to accomplish much more of what you want. You're going to be able to relate to more people and all of these things. So focus on all of the things that you do well. Don't worry about being the best at anything. Like, you don't need to be the best. You don't need to be on top. You don't need to be the alpha all the time. Focus on being multifaceted and recognizing all the skills and abilities that you naturally have. That's way more important, okay? So that's what we've got for you guys. Like, this is, as uncomfortable as this is a really amazing time for you to step fully into your power, to see yourself clearly, to know who you are and to know what you want, and to change your perception of yourself so that you can recognize who you are at that soul level, because that's what's more important. You know, we're in these bodies as humans because this is a great learning period for us, and we get to have all sorts of experiences that we wouldn't normally be able to have and all of that. But it's your soul essence that is enduring. It's the one, that's what's been with you from lifetime to lifetime, regardless of what you've been doing, you know, physically, tangibly doing in those lifetimes, or what your status has been, or any of those things. It's your soul essence that really matters. That's what we're really working on. And what we're really needing to see is our soul essence, because that's what's most important. And at our soul level, because of all of the experiences that we've had in multiple lifetimes, and in this one, we've acquired so much power and so many skills, so much knowledge and wisdom that we can utilize now. But you're not going to be able to utilize that now if you're refusing to see it, if you're blinding yourself from it. Take the blinders off. Stop being afraid of whether or not you're going to be good enough. Stop feeling like you have to compete with everybody to be the best, because this is about you being you and all of the skills that you have, and really implementing those things in terms of creating the reality that you want for yourself, in terms of being the person that you really are at that soul level that you're meant to be, and doing what it is that you're meant to do, that you decided on that soul level that you wanted to do. Make the most of this time. These next few months are going to be so pivotal for you in making those decisions. So make the most of this time. Really do that. This is a great energy for you to be in. So stop resisting. Let go of that Ten of Swords energy. Move into that Ace of Wands energy. Start really accepting these internal changes. Take that path of least resistance. Go with the flow. And then that's what's going to help you to manifest things in your physical reality and start this new cycle where things actually go right, where the things that you're wanting to accomplish, you can accomplish, where all the abundance you're hoping for comes in. All right. Okay, I got really excited there, but I felt like there was really exciting energy there. I'm actually really super psyched for you guys, and the divine is too. Like they're stoked, and so am I. It's time for you to start really making these internal changes. You have what it takes to do this, and I am totally cheering you on. Like, if I could watch this final boss battle, I totally would, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be epic, and you're going to come out on top, and you're going to win, and I'm already proud of you. I hope that didn't sound condescending. Okay, so moving into the cards for the feminine this week. All right, so we've got a slightly different theme, where the masculine has been doing a little bit of deep diving into more of the feminine aspects and trying to balance those things out. The feminine, who dove even more into her femininity last week, is starting to balance things out with her masculine energies. So the first card that we have for the feminine is a reversed Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles is about collaboration and cooperation, you know, finishing group projects, working well together, stuff like that. With the Three of Pentacles being reversed, there may be the sense for a lot of the feminine that you haven't been successfully collaborating with others. And maybe you've had a lot of frustration about this, where you're trying to accomplish things in a group setting and it's not working. Either you feel like maybe you're doing all the work and you're not being supported, or maybe there's conflicts about how things should be done or what should be done. Or my mind totally went blank. I had another point and I'm pretty sure it was awesome, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, this is about feeling like you're not being able to collaborate in the ways that you're wanting. Oh, I remember what it was. It may be manifesting as you feeling kind of like you're being disrespected, like your opinions aren't being valued. And it may actually be that you're feeling like your opinions aren't valued because you're a woman. Because we are still in that process of like balancing out the masculine and feminine energies, not only within ourselves, but in our dynamics with other people. So there may be this sense this week that you're trying to collaborate on this group project. You're trying to do something amazing, create something amazing, and you're not getting anywhere with it because either you're not being respected, or you're doing all the work, or you can't come to agreements on things, or maybe like you're trying to collaborate, but you can't even like get the process going with people. So this could be an area of frustration for you. All right. But this is happening for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. This is kind of happening to help you realize how far you have come, how much you've leveled up, how much you've really stepped into your own power, because this is a magician card, and the magician is able to, as above, so below, is really able to manifest their ideas and their visions into physical reality. But the magician also has a lot of confidence. They recognize all of the skills and abilities they have. Like, they know what they're capable of. And the feminine has really been rising into a knowledge of what she's capable of, right? We've all been doing that, I feel anyway, as a feminine collective. I know I certainly have this year. I've really been recognizing what I'm capable of. I'm still in the process of recognizing that, but there are a lot of areas where I felt like, oh, I can't do that. You know, for years, I felt like, oh, I can't do that. That's just not within my realm of possibilities. And now I'm completely shifting my perspective on that. The biggest change there for me is that I have always been painfully shy and very introverted. This year has completely turned that all kinds of upside down. So it has literally gotten to the point where I kind of am questioning, am I still an introvert or am I an extrovert? Because I'm interacting with people so much more, and it's so much more comfortable for me than it used to be. I don't have like this social anxiety. I'm feeling much more confident in my ability to have actual conversations with people. I still have moments where I kind of lapse back into that shyness, but it happens very rarely now. So that's the way in which I've kind of leveled up into this magician aspect. It's not the only way, but that's been the most significant and noticeable one for me. So I'm recognizing the ways in which I've leveled up in that sense. And to a degree, it's almost gotten like maybe too comfortable. So this Three of Pentacles reversed is showing up for the feminine to help us to realize how powerful we've actually become, so that we don't get complacent about it, so that we can recognize how much we really have stepped into our power, how much we've leveled up in our evolution, how much wisdom we've gained, how many skills we've acquired and have been mastering, so that we can really see the full depth of our self-mastery. But now it's time for a new challenge, all right? And this, you know, we've been diving a lot into our feminine energies this year, and now it's time for us to start balancing the scales again and start moving more into, you know, some logic and things like that. Not that women are wildly illogical or anything like that, but we are more associated with, you know, intuitive connection and emotion and stuff like that. Now we're starting to move more into mental energy. Okay, and learning how to balance that with the intuition, because we spent so much time diving into our feminine energies, and we've needed to, and we've been assisting the masculine energies as well through doing that. But now it's time for us to start making a shift. And the next card that we have is the Fool card. So usually the Fool levels up into being the magician, but we already leveled up in some sense. So now we're stepping back into the Fool energy, where we're focusing on our masculine energies. And this is going to help us get into more balance so that we can develop a more solid vision of where we're going and strategize and organize and all of those things that are traditionally thought of as being more masculine qualities that require more intellect. So now we're like stepping into this Fool energy. So even if in the past you have felt like you were more primarily a masculine energy, this will have shifted still, because by diving further into your femininity and recognizing your feminine power, while it may not seem like it, it's actually going to shift your masculine energy within you very much and shift your perspective of your masculine energy, because you've come into more balance with your feminine energies. You've dived deeper into that. You've recognized the power that there is in being a strong feminine figure. And so now, when you do step back into your masculine energies, while you may not expect this, you're going to get there and you're going to realize, whoa, this is different than I was before. And the reason for that is because now you're more balanced, and it's time for you to reestablish what it means for you to connect to your masculine energy within. All right? I hope that made sense. I know it's kind of abstract to explain it. All right, so the next card that we have is the Queen of Cups. And again, this is about having mastered, you know, our feminine energy. So this is kind of where we're at. We're kind of sitting pretty with our intuition and our emotions, and we're like, yeah, I got this. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm finally, like, I'm here. Like, I've owned this feminine power. Yeah, I'm where I need to be. This is awesome. But now again, we're moving into those masculine energies, and we get the Hanged Man. So this is where the big shift in perspective is going to happen for you, is as you connect or reconnect more solidly to the masculine energy within you. This is where the biggest changes are going to be happening for you over the next few months, because this is that spot where you start really planting your seeds for what you're wanting to manifest in your physical reality, what you're trying to create in your physical reality. So this is going to be that shift in perspective for you, where everything kind of turns upside down again, not in a rude awakening kind of way. A lot of us went through a very intense dark night of the soul when we had our spiritual awakening. I mean, everybody does. But don't get into this idea that that's what this is going to be like for you as well, because this is different, all right? Because you've mastered your femininity, now when you move back into your masculinity, it's going to be much easier for you to do the self-mastery in that aspect. Because a lot of what was blocking the feminine was the core wounds that were associated with being a woman or being feminine in this, this culture, this society, this patriarchal paradigm. A lot of our core wounds were associated with being feminine. And so when we really dove into our feminine energies, we healed a lot of that stuff. We brought ourselves into balance. We recognized our own power and our strength and our courage and all of that amazingness. So now when we shift back into our masculine energies, we're going to have a healthier idea of what it is to be feminine, what it is to be masculine. It's going to be much easier for us to balance those energies and to be able to shift back and forth between them as need be. So this is a very positive thing, and it shouldn't feel awful. All right, it may feel challenging from time to time as you're trying to balance things, but it shouldn't feel awful. This process should be relatively organic and happen pretty naturally, all right, because this is just where we're at. So focus now on moving into your self-mastery as a masculine energy to start really manifesting things into physical reality. And that is going to involve a lot of collaboration with other people. So this week, you're probably going to have experiences with collaborations not going so well, because that's meant to move you into those masculine energies so that you can figure out how to collaborate better with people. If that makes sense. Not that masculines are the only ones who are capable of collaborating, because that's just nonsense. It's about the balance between your masculine and feminine energies, okay? All right, and then we have the Two of Pentacles, and here's that balance. And, the Two of Pentacles, of course, being pentacles, it's much more associated with your physical reality, may have to do with career and finance, so you're bringing balance into those areas. But on a larger scale, this is bringing balance into your physical reality as you're starting to learn how to manifest things into physical reality, as you're blending your feminine intuition and all of those, the receptivity and being able to flow with things, as you're blending that with the masculine energies, which are more intellect based, and learning, like being able to implement your intuition in a way that works in physical, tangible reality, okay? All right, so Kuan Yin brings us Daughter of the Phoenix. And normally, Daughter of the Phoenix is about being in a challenging energy because it's meant to help you purge away anything that is no longer serving you. Normally, that's what this card would signify. But the message that I got with it this time is that we need to recognize that we already are the Phoenix. We already have risen. So if you do find yourself in a challenging situation this week in collaboration with other people or anything like that, it's important to remember that you have already risen. You are not the same person that you were before. You are so much more capable now. You've acquired so much more wisdom and so many more skills than you had previously, or that you had awareness of previously, because on a soul level, we are very, very advanced. But in our, physical daily lives, their, connection to our ego and all of that, we lose sight of what we're capable of. But we've done so much work this year, not this week, although every week is a lot of work this year. We've done so much work this year into our self-mastery as a feminine energy and stepping into our feminine power. We've already risen. We are already the Phoenix. And what's going to help us this week through any challenging energies that we do meet with is to remember that we've already done that work. We've already done the self-mastery. Do not let yourself be dragged back down when you've already risen. You've already taken flight. All right? Nothing is a threat to you. You've already been resurrected. You're Your feminine power is invincible now, okay? Remember that. Think of yourself that way. You've already risen. Don't let yourself get dragged down by anything that does seem like it's a challenging energy. The next card that we have is actually one of my favorites, silly as it may seem. We have Skunk. And Skunk may seem like a card that you don't necessarily want to get, but Skunk is actually quite the badass because he is about reputation. So because we have moved so much into our self-mastery and our feminine power, we have been establishing a reputation for ourselves. We have been setting an example for other people. We've shifted and changed so much, and people notice. They're watching because it's been, significantly transformative. And so people are watching the progress that we're making. They're noticing it, and our reputation is now preceding us. So every situation that we go into, at least in most situations where we're dealing with people that we at least kind of know, or who have heard of us or about us, stuff like that, we have a certain reputation that we have established as we've moved into our self-mastery, and it is a powerful reputation, and we need to make sure that we own it. We also need to make sure that we use that responsibly, because there may be a tendency or a temptation to take advantage of the reputation that we have. It's really important not to take advantage in any sort of manipulative way or anything like that. You want to make sure that you're maintaining your integrity so that the reputation that you have remains very positive, so that people see you as a force to be reckoned with, so that they do respect you, so that they recognize all of the work that you've done, so that they really see you for who you are. Do not let yourself fall back into old patterns where you cower away or you shrink yourself down to accommodate other people's expectations. You have made so many positive changes, and people have been watching that. And a lot of people have been very inspired by it, and it is important for us to set the example for others so that they can rise into their power too. But the other aspect of this, some people have been watching us rise into our power, and they want to challenge us. Sometimes they want to challenge us because of, jealousy or things like that. Or sometimes they're challenging us because they want to see if we actually are the reputation that we have. They want to see if we really are the real thing. And some of these people that are challenging us to see if we're the real thing will be very powerful allies in the future, and they want to work with us, but they want to see if we really are as good as we seem to be on the surface. They want to make sure that we're not too good to be true. They want to make sure that it's not just superficial. They want to make sure that we can be trusted, that we're legit, that we're the real deal. So some of your issues with collaboration this week may not be what you think they are. It may not be that somebody is challenging you because they're trying to be a jerk or they're trying to drag you down. Some situations you might find yourself challenged in collaboration because the person who is challenging you actually very much wants to work with you, but they want to see if you really are legit, if they really can work with you, if you really will pull your weight, stuff like that, okay? All right, so from the Goddesses and Sirens deck, we have Maat. And Maat is an Egyptian goddess, and she is amazing. She's very powerful as a goddess, and she was in control of she managed a lot of things as a divine being in ancient Egypt. She was thought of as being associated with the movement of the planets and how that happened, and the tides and all of that. But she was also very much associated with balance and with justice. So when you died and you basically, your soul was escorted to, I think by Ra, to Maat, and what she would do is she would, on her scales, she would put your heart on one side and an ostrich feather on the other side. And if your heart was light because you didn't have a ton of karma and you lived the way that you were supposed to and you were really in your integrity and all of that stuff, then the scales would be balanced. But if your heart was heavy because you didn't live an honorable life, then she would toss your heart to be devoured. And the way that this is manifesting for the feminine this week is that we really need to recognize again, the power that we have. We need to recognize the responsibility that we have to not only maintain a good reputation on the surface, but to be worthy of that reputation. We need to make sure that we're being balanced, that we are, you know, listening to our intuition and all of that, but we're also looking at, you know, looking at the reality, but we are shifting our perceptions of reality. But this is looking at the reality through our intuition, our emotions, and our intellect. It's really balancing those scales, weighing everything out, and making sure that we're acting in a way that is responsible, that's in integrity. It's also making sure that we use discernment in who we choose to be around, and whether they're good for us or whether they are detrimental to us, whether they're trying to pull us down or whether they're trying to assist us. We really need to make sure that we're using our discernment. So don't get all wrapped up in emotions. If you do run into challenging situations with people, weigh things out. Don't just rush to any conclusions. Really weigh things out. That's what Ma'at is with us for this week, helping us to recognize our power as feminines and our creative ability. I mean, for heaven's sake, like, she was associated with the movement of the planets and the tides. We do have immense creative power, so she is connecting us to that. But she is also connecting us to our reputation and making sure that it's not just superficial, that it's not just on the surface, that we're actually living with our integrity, and that we're always weighing out ourselves too. We're not just weighing out other people and whether or not they're worthy, you know, to be around us, or however you want to say that. That sounds kind of narcissistic and condescending to put it that way. But we want to make sure that we're not just being discerning about the people that we have around us, but that we're also making sure that we're weighing out our own scales, keeping our masculine and feminine energies in balance, but also making sure that we are living in alignment with our higher self, with our higher purpose, okay? And from the Gods and Titans deck, we have the Jade Emperor here to assist us with that. And he's working very well in collaboration with Ma'at, because the Jade Emperor is about organization. It's really bringing order into your life. And again, we are in this process right now where we're establishing new systems. You know, Saturn moved into Capricorn, so now we're really working on establishing new systems and structures and order and the way that we're doing things in our lives. And the Jade Emperor is here to assist the feminine with doing that, with really bringing a greater sense of organization into our lives, to not just be all up in here or just in our heart space, but to really be able to create a space that will facilitate forward movement by getting things organized, getting that solid vision of what you want going forward. So you're not just like, I want things to change, I'm just going to run wildly into this and wait for things to happen to me. This really is a period of time where we're developing a solid vision. We're developing a plan for what we're going to be doing going forward. And that's going to come to us piece by piece. We'll receive guidance. We'll get synchronicities. We'll get opportunities coming to us that will help us to figure out where our path is heading and what opportunities and possibilities that we'll have for, you know, for that forward movement towards our destination. So, you know, the Jade Emperor is working with Ma this week to help us to really balance our intuition with our logic, with our intellect, in order to start developing solid plans and goals. This is a period of time for us where we're really starting to plant those seeds and figure out what we want in our garden. All right. Okay, guys, well, that's what I've got for this week. I hope that you guys have an awesome week. Like, I just see a whole lot of space for amazingness this week. You know, as always, the potential for some challenges. There's always potential for challenges. It's how you respond to these challenges and how you perceive them. So make sure that you're really focusing on shifting your perspectives this week. Don't limit yourselves. Don't underestimate yourselves. Make sure that you're being balanced in your masculine and feminine energies. Make sure you're being balanced in your intuition, your heart space, and your intellect. This is really about balance and about, you know, overcoming self-limiting beliefs, and about rewiring our neural pathways, and finally about figuring out where the heck we're going and what we're trying to accomplish and who we actually are. All right. So beautiful energy. I am excited about this week. I'm excited about these next few months. I hope that you guys are too. Have a wonderful and amazing week. Make the most of these energies, as I always say, and take care. And I will see you next week. Bye.